So here I'd just like to demonstrate how you can use the notes to run the conversation. So all the things that I'm going to say pretty much come out of these notes. So I'd ask my friend to turn to page 6, and I'd say, pointing up here, look, we're going to be looking at an overview today. And do you remember when I asked you if you'd like to take a look? We said we'd look at 18 sentences. So it says here, John 1, verses 1 to 18. So that simply means we're going to look at the first 18 sentences of John's Gospel. And what we're going to see here, it says in this circle, is that God comes to earth. And then down in this note, it says, John's Gospel starts with an overview. There's a lot in this section, so don't be surprised that it's going to need some unpacking. So I expect you've probably come into this meeting with quite a lot of questions. By the time we get to the end of this section, I expect you to have maybe a few more questions. And actually, we're not going to answer those questions today because our writer doesn't. Like any author, he's just going to introduce a load of big, amazing claims today. And then he's going to spend the rest of the gospel just explaining them. If you'd like to keep coming back, we'll see that. But I don't know if you've ever been to a nativity play, but if you have, you might find this a surprising start. So there's no angels, no Bethlehem, no stable, no baby Jesus, no wise men. So let's turn the page and see where John kicks us off. So you see at the top of page 8, it says start here. So these sentences here with the numbers next to them are from the Bible. So normally I would ask my friend, would you like to read these sentences or would you like me to? And in every case, actually, all of my friends have been happy to read. But just here, I'll read the verses. So it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. So you see at the top of this page here, we're learning here about amazing beginnings. And underneath that it says, look how often the phrase the word is used, with an arrow over to verse 1. So we see, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So John stresses to us twice the Word was there in the beginning. But we're left with a question, aren't we? And it says it here, what or who is the Word? And it says at the start of verse 2, he was with God. So we're going to learn that the Word was with God and was God. The Word is a person. And then in verse 3, we see the Word who is God and a person made everything. I mean, these are pretty big claims, aren't they? But John's claims for the Word go even further. So what difference does the Word make for life? Well, as we read this gospel, we're going to read that the Word is the source of life, the answer for life, and gives eternal life. And as we keep going through the gospel, we will really understand what true life means. But this makes sense, doesn't it? If, as John has claimed, the Word is the creator of everything, then all life has to come through the Word. And then I don't know if you noticed, but down here it said the Word existed before time, before creation, before the beginning. So the other thing that we're learning about the Word here is that he's eternal. So once I get to this point, I would normally stop. And I would just ask my friend, like, we've seen so much there. Are you okay? Does that make sense? Is there anything that surprises you? And actually, what tends to happen in 99% of the cases is my friend, on the whole, they've never looked at the Bible before, and they are back in their seat like they've been in a heavyweight fight with Tyson. I don't know what it is that they were expecting when they got into the meeting, but they've just been hit with these amazing claims. There was a beginning to creation. There's more than one part to God. God is eternal. He made everything. He gives all life. That's quite a lot to comprehend. So on the whole, they are sitting back and they just nod and go, yeah, I think that's okay. And we turn the page and we keep going. And again, you may not like to do this, but with each of my friends, whenever we get to the Bible verses, I ask them every time, would you like to read or would you like me to read? So here, I'll read the verses again. So there was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify concerning that light, so that through him all might believe. He himself was not the light. He came only as a witness to the light. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. So again, if we go to the top of page 11, what we're seeing here is John the Baptist is introduced and explained. So we need to be clear that this man sent from God whose name was John was not our writer, but a character called John the Baptist. And he's an amazing guy. So what did John the Baptist come to do? Well, it says here, he was sent by God to point to the coming of the light. You see, he came as a witness to testify. So I tend to call John the Baptist one job John. God has given him one job, which is to point to the lights. And actually, if you're happy to come back to read the next episodes, later in this chapter, we're going to see that John was amazing. He was the sensation of his day, this preacher in the wilderness. All these people were coming out to see him. So if it was today, he would have been on the TV news, he'd have been on Twitter, and he was so incredible that the government and religious leaders of the time sent people to check him out to find out who he was. So we learn that he's an amazing guy. But what do we learn? He may be amazing, but John the Baptist is not the much anticipated word. It said he himself was not the light. But we're learning that through John the Baptist, God goes out of his way to make sure that the coming of the word is publicly known. But I don't know if you're feeling the tension at this stage, but it says down here, we still haven't been told who the word is. So to find that out, we're going to have to keep reading.